You set your alarm for 6:30 in the morning. Before your feet touch the floor, you reach for the screen on your nightstand, and the blue light hits your eyes. That is the first light of your day, a screen. You walk to the kitchen under electric bulbs, sit at the table under more electric bulbs, eat your breakfast, brush your teeth, climb into your car, and drive to work. By the time you pull into the parking lot, you have been awake for an hour and a half, and you have not once been under the open sky. Your eyes have not seen the sun. Your skin has not felt it. The only light that has touched your face all morning came out of a wire. On my farm, the morning looks different. I am in the barn before the sky turns gray. The Holsteins are already standing at the stanchions. When I walk in, they know the routine better than I do. By the time the milking is done and I step outside, the first light is on the tree line and the air smells like wet grass and hay. My hands are in the work before most folks have poured their coffee. I have done this every morning of my adult life, and the men before me did it going back farther than anyone remembers. Nobody told us it was good for our health. Nobody had to. The health came on its own because we were living the way the body was built to live. And I will tell you later why nobody ever taught you to do this, because there is no way to charge you for it. My name is Noah Yoder, and I am Amish. I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, the same land my family has worked for generations. My grandfather was outside before sunrise every morning of his working life. He did not do it for his health. He did it because there were animals to feed and fences to mend in the barn that needed him but the day got hot. It came without asking and without a bill. Today I want to walk you through what the morning sun does to your body when you actually stand in it, and why that matters more than any bottle on your shelf. Before I go further, for the folks who want everything I have taught on this channel and the methods I have not gotten to yet, all in one place, I have put it together at my website. I will not push it again. If you want it, it is there. A word of honesty before we go any further. I am not a doctor. I am not pretending to be one. I am a farmer who has watched his family stay well for a long time doing things that cost nothing, and I want to share the plain reason those things work. I am not telling you to stop taking anything your doctor gave you. If you are under a doctor's care, talk to your doctor before you change anything. What I am showing you is what my family does and has done for 200 years on this county, and the plain reason behind it. Nothing I am about to show you costs money, and none of it requires a prescription. Now, a few things specific to today. Your face needs to be in the open where the light can reach you, but your eyes do not need to point at the sun. Skin type matters. Fair-skinned folks need less time. Dark-skinned folks need more, and a sunburn undoes the benefit. I will not have you on that list. Start gradually and avoid the peak midday sun in summer. Early morning light is gentle. That is the light we are talking about. And I will be honest with you about why the people who sell you things for your health have never once mentioned this. That part comes later, so stay with me. Step outside within the first hour of waking. Face the open sky, not through a window, not through the windshield of your car. The actual sun, the actual sky, the actual open air. On our farm, nobody ate breakfast before they had been outside. The men were in the barn and in the field before the sun was fully up, and their bodies received something from that light that set the whole day right. They did not have a word for what was happening inside their heads, but they felt it, and they never skipped it. What to do is simple. Walk outside and face the open sky without sunglasses, without standing behind glass. 15 to 20 minutes, summer or winter, cloudy or clear. If you live in a city, a balcony works. A front step works. A parking lot works as long as the sky is above you and there is no glass between your face and the light. You do not need a field. You need the open air. In winter, bundle up and stand on the porch. The cold air does not matter. The light still works through clouds and through cold. In summer, the early morning is cool enough that the time will feel pleasant, not punishing. Some folks drink their morning coffee outside. Some folks just get into the how of it does not matter as much as the where. Outside, under the sky, with nothing overhead but the air. The glass matters more than most folks realize. A sunny window feels bright, but the glass filters out the particular kind of light your eyes need for what comes next. You can sit by that window all morning and your brain will still register it as dim. Sunglasses do the same thing. So when you step outside, leave the sunglass of a sharp strach head more taking tandem. If you have an eye condition, talk to your eye doctor first. But the early morning sun is gentle enough that those few minutes without lenses will feel like nothing at all. Now for the plain why of it. There are cells at the back of your eyes that have nothing to do with seeing. They do not make pictures. Their only job is to measure how bright the world is and to tell a small clock inside your brain whether it is day or night. That clock runs everything. Your energy, your hunger, your mood, your sleep. When the morning light hits those cells, the clock resets and the whole day starts right. Indoor light is too dim to trigger a full signal. Those cells need the real sky. Even a cloudy morning outdoors delivers many times more light than the brightest room in your house. We're talking about the difference between a few hundred units of light indoors and 10,000 or more outside, even under key. Your kitchen light is not fooling those cells. They know the difference. Researchers at a university in Ohio measured this in Amish communities and found that our people receive roughly 7 times more daily light than the average person. 7 times. And the researchers could not find a single case of what the English call seasonal depression. That is just what we call folks outside our community, no disrespect in it, in the group they studied. That is what 7 times more light does for a person over the course of a lifetime. And not one of those folks was trying. This will not undo a disease you already have, but it gives your body something it was built to receive every morning and has not been receiving. That is not a small thing. Most folks who try this tell me the same thing. The first morning feels like nothing. The second morning feels like little more. By the fourth or fifth morning, something shifts. The energy comes earlier, the afternoon slump softens, and by the end of the week, the sleep is different. Not because they did anything heroic, because their body finally got what it had been asking for every morning and never receiving. The change is quiet. You do not notice it happening, only that it happened. There is a way the light comes across the south field in early April that I could describe to you for an hour stone or not dead July. The golden part lasts maybe 20 minutes before it turns white and ordinary. You just have to stand in it. My grandmother washed her face on the porch every morning with water from the pump. No sunglasses, no glass between her and the sky. She did that every morning of her long life without thinking twice about it. But that is only half of what the morning light does. The light that hits your skin does something else entirely, and it is the piece most folks have never been told about. Before we go on to the next practice, let me pause for a moment. For the folks who want help putting these old ways to work in their own daily life, Ruth and I have put together a community where we walk through all of this together. The link is in the description. Roll up your sleeves and open your collar. Let the morning sun touch your arms and your neck and your face. No sunscreen for this short window of time. The sunscreen blocks what your skin needs to do its work. Folks in my community have always been outside with bare arms from spring through fall. The women had arms brown as leather by June every year because they were in the garden from before the dew dried, pulling weeds and picking beans and hanging the wash. They were not thinking about their health, but their bodies were making what they needed from that sun, in exactly the way your body is built to make it if you give it the chance. What happens is different from what the light does for your eyes. When a certain kind of light from the sun reaches your bare skin, your body starts making the thing that keeps your bones from going soft. The doctors call it vitamin D. Your body makes it for free from sunlight. It cannot make it through glass. It cannot make it through sunscreen. It cannot make it under a roof. It needs your bare skin under the open sky. Two jobs done by one sun, both blocked by walls and can one delis. But the bones are only part of it. That same thing your skin makes from sunlight does work all through your body. The doctors who study the immune system say it helps your body fight off sickness the way a strong fence keeps the foxes out of the henhouse. It plays a role in your mood. Folks who are low on it feel heavier and slower than folks who are not. The researchers in Ohio found that the Amish they studied carried levels that most indoor workers never come close to reaching. Your body was designed to make this from the sun every day, and when it does not get the chance, the whole system runs a little colder than it should. 42% of American adults are not getting enough of this. 42. Nearly half the country is low on something their body can make on its own just by walking outside in the morning. Researchers who work with outdoor laborers have found that people who spend their days outside carry levels of this that are dramatically higher than folks who spend their days indoors. Nobody in my community has this problem. We are outside all day. The sun hits our skin whether we are thinking about it or not. Let me be plain about skin type, because this matters and I will not dance around it. Fair-skinned folks make what they need quickly. 10 to 15 minutes of morning sun is enough. Dark-skinned folks need longer, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Nobody needs a sunburn. If your skin starts to turn pink, you have gone too far, and the goal is never to burn. The morning sun is gentler than the noon sun, and that is why I keep saying morning. Early light gives your skin what it needs without the risk that comes later in the day. If you have a history of skin trouble, talk to your doctor about what amount of time is right for you. None of this science was known to me until a man from the university came to our community to study how we sleep. He ended up measuring a dozen other things while he was there. He was more surprised by what he found than we were. There is a warmth the early sun puts on your arms in the morning that is different from the heat of noon. It is gentle and it comes slow, and the skin takes it in without complaint. That is the sun doing its quiet work, and you do not have to think about it any more than the old folks ever did. But here is the part that made me sit down when I first heard it. The morning sun does not just set your day right, it sets your night right. And that connection is the piece that changes everything about how you understand your sleep. There is nothing to buy for this one. There is nothing to do in the evening except stop doing the thing that is keeping you cool. When the sun goes down, let the dark come. Do not fill your house with bright light. Do not stare at a screen until midnight. Let the darkness do what it is supposed to do. Folks in our community did not have electric light. When the sun went down, the work stopped and the evening got dark. The men in my church district have lived this way for as long as any of us can remember. They did not plan this. There was simply no alternative, and every one of them slept through the night without a pill, without a machine, and without a word of complaint about it. On our farm, the evening comes on slowly. The light turns golden, then amber, then gray. By the time supper is done and the dishes are washed, the house is dim and the world outside is quiet. There is no bright screen pulling your eyes in one direction while your body is trying to wind down in another. The whole evening is a long, slow signal that the day is finished. Your body reads that signal the way it reads the morning light. It knows what it means, and it responds the way it was built to respond. Now for the part nobody connects. That morning clock we have been talking about does more than wake you up. It sets a timer. 12 to 14 hours after the morning light starts it, your body begins making the thing that makes you sleepy. The researchers call it melatonin. But I think of it more simply as the sleep signal your body sends itself when the day is done. Your body makes this on its own, on schedule, every night, but only if the morning light started the timer. No morning light means no timer. No timer means no sleepiness at the right hour. That is why you lie awake at 11 o'clock wondering what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. The timer never started because the morning sick later dived. Morning sun and evening dark are two halves of one system. You cannot fix your sleep with the evening half alone. The morning half starts the clock. The evening half lets the clock finish its work. That is the whole thing right there. And once you understand that these two halves need each other, a lot of what has gone wrong with your sleep starts to make sense. In my house, the evening is simple. We do not own a bright screen. The house gets dark when the dawn when the oil lamp in the sitting room puts out about as much light as a single candle. That is not enough to confuse that morning clock. It knows the difference between a candle and the sun, and by 9 o'clock, every person in this house is sleepy. Not just because we worked hard all day, though we did, but because that clock started its count 12 hours ago and it has done its job. Keep your lights and keep your screens, because nobody is asking you to live the way I live. But dim them after dark. Turn off the screen in your hand at least an hour before you sleep. Let the last hour of your evening be dim and quiet. If you can, use a warm-colored lamp instead of the bright overhead light in your ceiling. The warm light does far less damage to the signal than the cold white light does. Give the evening half a chance to finish what the morning half started. That is all it takes. And if it sounds too simple to work, I would ask you to remember that my family has been doing exactly this for generations, and every one of us sleeps through the night. Ruth laughs at me when I say these things. She says I make it sound complicated when all I am really saying is go outside in the morning and come back in when it gets dark. She is probably right. But I would rather explain too much and have you understand than explain too little and have you do it halfway. Remember what I said at the start about somebody making money from you not knowing this. Here is who. A bottle of vitamin D sits on the shelf at every pharmacy in America. $25 a month, 12 months a year, for 20 years. That is $6,000 for a bottle of something the sun makes for free every morning before your coffee gets cold. But Free does not have a marketing department. Free does not have a shelf at the pharmacy. Free does not buy advertising time on the screen you watch every evening. So nobody mentions it. The bottle shows up in every store. The sun shows up every morning, and nobody says a word about what it can do for you. Sleep aids are worse. Your body makes its own sleep signal every night, 12 to 14 hours after the morning sun starts the timer. When the timer never starts because you spent the morning indoors under electric light, the body never makes the signal on its own. So someone sells it to you in a bottle instead. Melatonin supplements, sleep gummies, nighttime teas with names that sound like a country meadow, a whole aisle of products that exist because nobody told you to walk outside before breakfast. And then there are the lamps. A company will sell you a box of light for $50 to $200 that tries to do what stepping outside your front door does at no cost to anyone of light. The morning sky on a cloudy day puts out 10,000 to 25,000. You paid $200 for a product that is dimmer than the clouds, and the company that sold it to you knows this. They just also know that you do not. I am not telling you there was a meeting somewhere in a tall building where these people decided to keep this quiet. I do not believe in that kind of thing. It is something worse. It is a quiet agreement among everybody who profits to not mention the free alternative. The supplement company does not need to coordinate with the lamp company. The lamp company does not need to call the sleep gummy company. They just all need to stay quiet about the sun. And they have for decades. Nobody has to plan a silence. Silence is the default when nobody profits from speaking up. You cannot bottle the sun, and you cannot brand it. You cannot put it on a shelf with a label and a price tag, so it sits there every morning, doing its work without a bill, while an entire industry pretends it does not exist. Your doctor is not part of this. Your doctor is a good person inside a system that pays them to prescribe and test and refer. The system does not pay them to tell you to go stand in a field. The fault belongs to the system, not the people inside it. There is no billing code for sunlight. There is no prescription pad for a morning sky, so it never comes up in the appointment, and you walk out with a bottle instead of an answer. My grandmother never bought a bottle of vitamin D in her life, and her bones were sound the day she died. One of those has a salesman, the other has a sunrise. My grandfather did not know any of this science. He did not know about the cells in his eyes, or the clock in his brain, or the 12-hour timer. He just went outside before the sun came up because there was work to do. Every morning, summer and winter, for 60 years. He slept like a stone every night of his life. He never once took a sleeping pill. He never once complained about waking up tired. His bones were sound at 83. The doctor in town told him once that his blood work looked like a man 20 years younger. He did not understand why the doctor was surprised. He did not think he was doing anything special. He was just living. So do I now. My children are outside before breakfast every morning, whether the air is warm or whether their breath hangs in front of them like a little cloud. We do not have a name for it, because we do not need a name for something you just do. That is just how the morning works on this farm. Normal living. That is all it ever was. Normal living the way it was done in this country for 200 years. Then someone decided to put a roof between you and the sun and sell you a pill to make up for it. So here is what I want you to do tomorrow morning. One thing and nothing else. Before you eat breakfast, before you check your telephone, before you do anything else, walk outside. Stand in the open where the sky is above you. No sunglasses, no hat brim pulled over your eyes. You do not have to look at the sun. Just stand where the light can reach your face and stay there for 15 minutes. Winter or summer, cloudy or clear. The light on a cloudy morning is still many times brighter than the light inside your kitchen. That is less time than most folks spend looking at a screen before they get out of bed. You can stand there in your pajamas and your slippers if you want, because nobody is watching and nobody is grading you. Just be outside. It costs nothing. It requires nothing, and you already have everything you need. A door at the you will feel something, and it is hard to describe. A kind of settling, like the first deep breath you did not know you were holding. The old folks called it getting right with the day. The researchers would call it something longer and harder to pronounce, but you will feel it. And if you do it for 1 week straight, you will feel a difference in your sleep by the fourth or fifth night. The researchers measured exactly that, and it is what every person in my family has known without measuring for as long as any of us can remember. Once you have done that, once you have felt the morning sun do its quiet work, the rest of what I have to show you on this channel will not feel strange anymore. Tell me in the comments what your morning looks like today. Not what you want it to be, what it is. How long are you indoors before you see the sky? And if your grandmother or your grandfather was the kind of person who was outside before breakfast every day, tell me what you remember about them. Those memories are the very knowledge I am trying to keep alive on this channel. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been speaking of what the morning does for the body, I am going to show you what happens to your joints, your blood, and your mood when you walk the way the old folks walked, not on a machine in a room, but on the actual ground, under the actual sky, the way the body was built to move. It is the natural next step after today. Your body was built for the life your grandparents lived. It is still waiting.